statement before we do that. So we're joined today by Reeve Ernie Sersky of the RM of Dauphin, Mayor Dave Boziak of the City of Dauphin, and of course the MLA for Dauphin and Minister of Agriculture, Ron Kostyshin. I just want to thank the local leadership for the resolve and the hard work that they've shown, calm demeanor, kept everyone safe so far, and we are encouraging folks to take those extra precautions to look after your safety. There's been a ton of water in the region, as everyone knows. Folks in the parkland have seen flooding before, but not like this, not to this extent, not to this scale, not hitting this many areas of the region at the same time. So first and foremost, it's a message of thanks to you and to your staff and to your fellow leaders. We really appreciate the partnership with the municipalities to respond to a natural disaster like this. In terms of looking ahead, we have brought forward $5 million for a cash advance program with the disaster financial assistance. I was relieved to hear one of the municipal officials say that they'd heard from emergency management officials this morning, telling them about the initiative and saying, what do you need, so that we can get folks back to normal as soon as possible. The idea behind this $5 million is, we know on the provincial side there's a ton of roads and bridges that are going to need to be repaired, so the need at the municipal side is going to be there as well. We don't want any resource or financial question to get in the way of getting people back to normal, so that's why we want to work together collaboratively. A lot of folks were asking earlier today about water levels and what we expect to see in the coming days and weeks. So there are going to be more detailed updates shared later today. One piece of information that just came in, though, is that Dauphin Lake is at flood stage now. It is predicted to rise by perhaps another foot or two, which does mean flooding, but perhaps not the worst flooding that folks along the lake have seen before. We'll get you more information about the Valley River later in the day when the Hydrology Forecasting Center comes forward with their daily update, and of course we're going to keep our municipal partners informed up to the minute as soon as we get that too. And then on the health side, the mobile medical clinic is in the process of being set up and lit up across from the hospital here in Dauphin. And Shared Health will be having an update early this afternoon about where people should head. The message that we do want to share, though, is that health services are available in the region. If you're in the Swan Valley or one of the very impacted areas, we are still telling you to call 911 or your local emergency service, and we will come get you. In areas closer to Dauphin and in some of these areas where road access is a real possibility, then, of course, that mobile clinic across from the Dauphin Hospital, the St. Rose Emergency Department, these are areas you can access, and Shared Health will have more information early this afternoon. So maybe that's a good sign to switch over to questions.
What have you been hearing from these local governments here or in the Swan River area or wherever it might be about how much need that they actually are requesting?
Well, why don't you ask our partners themselves, and they can share some of what they're seeing.
Who wants to take that?
So what's the city's ask from the province?
You mind stepping in?
The city right now, we basically believe that we have everything under our own control again. We've asked for a very modest amount from the province as a cash coverage just during the before we get into the disaster financial assistance stage of things. But I think we're okay. I think the RM is in a little different situation.
Yeah, we've been
We've
been told that we can access $500,000 from the province as of today to help with fixing up our roads, and we don't know the extent of damages yet. I mean, we've got people that are landlocked, people that cannot get out of their houses right now, so we have to make sure that, first of all, that they're safe. But the reality is that we're doing whatever we can to make sure that people can get access, make sure that they're safe, and we thank the province for their contribution.
How many miles of road are we talking about?
Oh, we have no idea. The last number I got was we have over 200 washouts, but we're probably double that.
Yeah.
What's that process been like for both of your municipalities?
Well, for us, as a rural municipality, I mean, we have over 500 miles of road in our municipality. We're 20 miles by 30 miles, and we have over 500 miles of roads. We don't know how many are washed out because our crews can't get there. The city's a little different story. Streets don't wash out nearly as much as municipal roads, but we're making sure that we're doing what we can. Let's put it that way.
So looking into the future a little bit, these kinds of events are happening with more frequency. So what kind of planning on the provincial level is going on in terms of the future?
Yeah, we had a good discussion about that actually in the sit down that we just concluded. And I think part of what we're telling our municipal partners, what we're telling all Manitobans, is that as we go into the disaster financial assistance stage, we want to build resilient infrastructure. So it's not just about building back the same thing that we had before. Now that we've seen what can happen with a change in climate, we need to build infrastructure that's going to meet that need. So a couple examples I could share. We had to cut Highway 10 east of Swan River in order to relieve the pressure of floodwater. Well, as we rebuild Highway 10, we've got to think about water control under that stretch of highway, even though that was previously just a little creek next to it that nobody had ever seen anywhere close to that level. Another impact that we're looking at, of course, would be in Minitonas, where when the hydro got knocked out, then all of a sudden the water and wastewater was impacted because it was running off electricity. So there, we're already in talks. I've spoken with Larry Mahalik already about getting a generator so that if they ever do lose power again, that the wastewater and water infrastructure will stay online. So again, we got to be resilient as people. We also have to make sure that our infrastructure is resilient too. And as we roll out this DFA program, we want the municipal partners to know that it's not just about restoring what was there, it's about building roads and culverts and other pieces of infrastructure so that we can handle an event like this in the future. God forbid, but we got to prepare.
Right.
Mayor, the floodwaters have receded a lot here in town, which is good to see. Can you give us an update kind of on the infrastructure? How is it handling it?
Our sewage system is still overwhelmed, but we're assisting with pumps to help with that. Our northeast end of town was most severely impacted because it's lowest end of our community. So we still have some basement flooding in some areas, and sewer backups yesterday. But our reports this morning were that most of them have been cleaned out. It's just a matter now of remediating and cleaning. Some seepage in a few areas of the community, but mostly, as you can see, the water came fast and it went fast. And so now it's mostly a cleanup. But our concern, as the Premier mentioned, is probably the Regional Health Center and when can it get back up and operating.
Do you have any idea how long that might be out?
I talked to the folks there yesterday. The Premier probably knows better than I do about any updates from Manitoba Health or the Regional Health Authority, but they've moved the patients out, and it's a problem because the generators are in the basement, and so the backup power is compromised as well. So it's complicated, and that may be another thing that, as the Premier is mentioning about building back better, those would be considerations on healthcare systems and other municipal infrastructure. What do we need to do to not be in this situation again in the future?
What does it mean to the community, and what would you say to the people living in this?
Well, I think mostly if it's emergent, you still go there. But I think the RHA has done the best that they can do to help direct people, whether it's for follow-up appointments or other things, to the appropriate areas. I know there was anecdotal yesterday. Apparently a pregnant woman had called and saying, I'm a little bit overdue, and what should I do if something happens? And they said, well, you might want to, get closer to Brandon or Winnipeg or Neepawa just in case. But we'll handle it if there's an emergent situation. So I want to trust that they're doing the best that they can.
Outside city limits, how are things looking from your department's perspective, Ron?
The Department of Agriculture, Sean? Definitely, the assessment is ongoing. Definitely, it's historical flooding, I believe, that's happening in our geographic area and outside the province of Manitoba, like out of Selkirk in that geographic area. All I can say is that definitely crop insurance will be doing assessments so we can get a bird's eye view of how much damage is out there, and ongoing discussions with federal government will continue to happen. But our first line of defense is crop insurance, and until we get some evidence-based information, we'll have some measurement how bad crops have been affected. But also the livestock producers, they've had some challenging times given pasture locations and observation. We were up in Swan River a couple of weeks ago helping out a livestock producer by aerial observation. We continue to work after all livestock or agriculture producers. It's valuable to our province of Manitoba, and we will continue to work with agriculture producers to make their life easier.
I guess you weren't expecting to be back so soon after Country Fest. Did you have a good time your first visit up here this week?
Yeah, Jelly Roll was an amazing performer. It was beautiful to see families, multi-generational, enjoying Country Fest together, and a very meaningful message. And I'm just glad that we were able to get Country Fest off successfully and get RVs and campers out of the vicinity before the rain hit. So, I wish it was all good times and tan lines, as the country music singers say, but, duty calls, and so we're here to support. A couple details on the question about healthcare. There's currently no ETA on repatriating the patients and getting the health center back, but, head down to the facility because the mobile clinic is being set up across the street, basically where the Dauphin Clinic is. And it was a big effort to get everybody relocated, so thank you to all the ambulance and paramedic folks and the medical professionals who did so. You've got the largest number of patients in Brandon, but you've also got a cardiac patient at St. Boniface. You've got an expectant mom at the Women's Hospital in Winnipeg. You've got many other people at rural hospitals throughout the region. So big thanks to all the healthcare folks who got all the patients to safety by about 3 a.m. This morning.
What do you think about the community's response, how they kind of maybe work together today, earlier this week here and in Swan River?
Well, I think this is why folks in the Parkland and across rural Manitoba like Country Fest so much, because you never know when you're going to get a chance to celebrate like that again. And who knew that within a few days people would be running around the clock to save life and limb, to save livelihoods, to save infrastructure. So I've been really blown away. And one of the great things about the Parkland is that there is a connection. Even though we're meeting with the city and RM of Dauphin, they're advocating for their colleagues and friends and family in Gilbert Plains and in Grandview and in the Swan Valley. And I know that when we get to Swan later today, it'll be the same thing. They'll be talking not only about their own needs, but also, nearby municipalities like Minnetonka's Bozeman. So it really is a family affair. It really is a community affair that we see people coming together with. And this is the best part of Manitoba. One day after Canada Day, we see the generosity, the giving spirit that makes this country great. And it's alive and well in the Parkland.
The mayor of Swan River has talked about asking for military assistance up there. Is that on the table with the federal government?
Yeah, we have. I asked for military assistance yesterday from the federal Minister of Emergency Measures, Eleanor Olszewski. And so there's a whole lot of hoops that you have to jump through in order to access that. And so we'll see what the response is, likely in the next day or two. We have put out the request.
The water has receded quite a bit, as mentioned. Why do you think that's still necessary to get the Army out here?
Well, first of all, in Swan, it is an active flood fighting effort. So to get equipment, resources, and sandbags into place is still a need as we're speaking now. And the other piece is that the cleanup operation is going to be gargantuan. It's going to be momentous when we're talking cleanup and restoration. And people are already tired. People have been pulling all-nighters. And so to get, whether it's the Canadian Armed Forces or similar organizations like Team Rubicon, who have ex-military among their ranks, the point is to get help for the region so that somebody can take a shift off and catch up on some sleep so that they're ready to go the next day. The point is to ensure that at the provincial level, we've been pulling wildfire service folks out of the fire zone. They were supposed to be on days off, and instead they're helping to check on stranded campers. So really there's a need to look after the people who are leading the frontline response. And if the federal government can bring in some of their resources, it just helps to ease the burden on those who've already been shouldering it.
Any other questions?
With Swan River being hit really hard a couple